Hey guys, it's Christine, also known as IvyWinter. Thank you for joining me for a non-Disney video. This is actually a Q&A. We've done one of these a long time ago, I feel like too long ago, and I wanted to open it up for you guys to ask me anything, whether Disney related or not. So we got a fun mix of different questions here. Thanks to everyone who submitted. I created like a Survey Monkey survey for you to fill out, and a lot of you gave me some really interesting questions, so I'm excited to go through them all and answer them. I love doing these sorts of videos because I like for you guys to get to know me outside of just what I do about Disney. Obviously, it's really easy when you do a niche channel to kind of get trapped in that subject, and a lot of people think that's the only thing I care for. So, you know, I love to do these. Talk a little bit more about other interests, talk a little bit more about myself so you can get to know me more. So what I'll do is I'm actually going to open up a new survey. I will put it in the description below, and then please feel free, if you missed out on asking a question or want to ask an additional one for next time, leave another question in there, and if we get enough, I will make another video. So let's just get in here. First one, best MTA line. So some of you guys know, well, I don't live in New York City anymore. I live in New Jersey. Oh my God, gasp, crazy. I grew up in New York City, so I lived there most of my 30 plus years of life. Best MTA line is a tough one because most of them suck. I'm gonna be totally honest. What comes to mind is like all of the worst ones. I think the one that runs probably the most consistently is probably gonna be like the ACE line. Look, they all have problems, but I feel like that, the ACE, which is one of the blue lines, that goes from Queens all the way through Manhattan into Brooklyn, kind of back around again, probably the better one. It's tough. I mean, I feel like some of them are just, I would say one of the worst lines to ever ride is the 456. If you want to go opposite of that, 456 is terrible. It's always packed and like, it's not great. Two-parter here. One, Bob actually hires you. What's the first thing you change in the parks? More bathrooms. No, I'm kidding. Like, they have lighting. The first thing I change in the parks is I bring the Big Thunder Mountain from Disneyland Paris over to the Magic Kingdom. It's the first thing I say, okay, we're gutting old Big Thunder, we're bringing in Disneyland Paris, Big Thunder, first decree as, I don't know, Bob's underling? I don't know what I would be. Two, how do you slow down at the parks but also find time to ride all the rides you want? What's the best way to find the ride, taking everything all in balance? It's something that I struggle with as I love the rides, but also want to be less caught up in them, and I was wondering if you had any advice. You know, this is definitely something that's more a luxury. People get to go a lot, right? Because you get to say to yourself, well, I've done Haunted Mansion X amount of times and what have you, and I can slow down. Even still, especially as someone who travels there, you feel a need to get a lot of attractions done because that's just the nature of the vacation. You feel like in your head, you have this sort of thing that like, if I didn't do all of the rides in Magic Kingdom this trip, I've like failed myself on this trip, which is silly. That's not true. So one, I think it's getting out of that mindset, right? You need to reassess what your vacation, what a good vacation is based on, and it's not just based on the number of rides that you hit. Maybe it is putting in those other things into what would make this a great vacation for you. What I like to do is obviously, you know, get those big rides in, but I think it's about, you know, listing the ones that are most important to you and hitting those and then letting everything else be secondary. And then in that secondary time of like, oh yeah, I'll hit this, I'll hit that, like building in time to check areas out, like making that part of your plan. So if you're at the Magic Kingdom, make it part of your plan to go catch the Dapper Dance. Check out the times that they are performing maybe ahead of time or that morning, and like make a strategic effort to actually go see them, not just to catch them randomly if you see them. Build in time to eat somewhere you've never eaten before. Sometimes it's just a matter of scheduling it in. I know that sounds kind of lame, but like it kind of lets you do those other things if you've already built them into your plan. Do you plan on having kids? That's a loaded question. It's just a big question for a lot of people, right? We do. Me and my husband Peter do. It's in the plan. I always say to people, when it happens, you'll know. I'm saying the same to you guys. I'm not really big on like, I don't know, I guess I've seen too many friends who have struggled with fertility or other situations. I never want to assume other people are on a certain trajectory. I don't like to ask too much, and so likewise, I don't like to share too much, because to me that's a very personal thing, but you'll know when you know. But yes, we do plan on having kids. Ideally, we would like to have a couple. It's part of the reason why we bought this house is to have room to have kids. It's hard to do in the city, in an apartment, and definitely, of course, gonna bring them to Disney World. Peter has agreed to go back once for every kid, but he said to me recently, it's gonna be more than once, isn't it? It's like, yeah, probably. What was 9/11 like living in New York City? Whew. I was a sophomore in high school. I was just starting the year. It was our orientation, so I went to a Catholic high school, and we had, like an orientation for the school year, and my whole year sat in the cafeteria going over the rule book, because Catholic schools have rules. I mean, most schools have rules, but they would go over any changes that happened since the last year, yada yada. And it was at that time in the morning, and that's when things happened. I was in Queens. It took us a while to even know what was going on. I think the school wasn't sure how to relay the information. They did say something over the loudspeaker about a plane accidentally hitting a building. This was the first plane that hit. And then I think when the second one happened, they realized it wasn't an accident. And I find that that's actually a very common experience for a lot of people I knew. We all thought with the first one, it was an accident, right? Like, you don't think that this is an intentional thing. But when the second one happened, I think it was apparent that it wasn't. And then, things are happening at the Pentagon. And so kind of was hidden from, I want to say hidden, because I don't want to make it sound like my school did the wrong thing. I think they didn't know what to do. It was really one of those situations where, like, what do you do, They weren't really letting us turn on the TVs. I think they just didn't want to scare us, It's a lot of young kids. I remember throughout the day, people started getting pulled out of class. Parents were coming and just slowly picking people up as the periods went on. By the end of the day, there was barely anyone left. My dad did pick me up about one period early, and then I found out that the reason they didn't come sooner was because my mom honestly thought I was safer there. She was concerned that there was some bigger attack happening in the city, and she just thought, she's safe there. They have a shelter there. Like, let her stay there. I know where she is. I think my brother was at home. And so my dad picked me up. It was the most silent drive home I've ever experienced. It was bizarre. He actually helped bring a friend home. She was just trying to figure out how to get home, and her parents weren't out of work yet. And so we said, I'll drop you off. People had windows rolled down because it was a beautiful, beautiful day. That's something I'll never forget. Just beautiful temperature, blue skies, just like a crazy, beautiful day. And you just heard people listening on their radios, and everyone was just, I've never heard the city so silent in my life before. It's hard to even think about now, because it was just surreal. Got home, and I was off from school for quite a while. Schools were closed. For quite a while, there was National Guard in the subways with M16s. Like, nobody knew what was gonna happen next, and I think they were just trying to do the best that they could. So I would get on the subway to go to school, and there was literally armed guards sitting on the train. It was wild. I remember teachers saying they went to the roof of the school when it happened. They could see the smoke from Manhattan. It was a lot, Unfortunately, there were some alumni who died from my school. There was a couple parents. If you lived in New York, you 100% knew someone who passed away through somebody. There was just too many people. And I remember just watching it day in and day out on the news. That's all you did was watch what was happening. Okay, I guess that answer was a little longer than I expected, but It was, I just can't really convey what it felt like. It was really probably one of the most shocking things I've ever lived through. And I hope I never have to live through anything like it again. How and when did you meet Peter? We met in a bar. Swear to God. In a bar that doesn't even exist anymore. I was in the East Village. I was there for a boss's birthday. Like my office, and he was there for a friend's birthday, unrelated. He literally came up to me 2 a.m. when he found a moment that I was by myself, put out his hand and said, "Hi, I'm Peter." That's it. No fancy pickup line, nothing like that. Dating in the city is really hard. I did like the app dating thing for a while. I had gotten out of a relationship like about a year prior, a 4-year relationship. And just like dated for a year through like, I don't even think, like Tinder wasn't even a thing. I feel so old, but it wasn't. It was just, what's the other one? Oh my gosh, I am blanking. It'll come to me. There was another one that I used right when I had the moment of like, I don't care anymore, is when he came around, and that was it. That's kind of history. So that was 2012. So as of this year, in April, we'll be together 8 years, but we've been married for 2. So yeah, it's crazy that it was that long ago. And I always think about how crazy in a city this big with this many people, what are the chances that he found me and said hello and now we're married? It's kind of it's a mind-blowing thing when you think about how small of a moment that is in the greater scheme of stuff. And that affects everything. That affects our families, that affects us having kids. Those future kids would never exist if it wasn't for him just deciding he was gonna talk to me. So, kind of mind-blowing. Here's a good one. If train A leaves the station traveling north at a speed of 60 miles per hour and train B leaves the same station 1 hour later traveling north at a speed of 85 miles per hour, what's the most you would ever spend on a Disney World annual pass as a percentage of your income? Something tells me those two things don't go together, but the most I would ever spend as a percentage of my income on my annual pass. Gosh, not that much. Right now the percentage is very low, but not even 5%. I don't know. It's just, these passes have already gone up in price already. I think it's like not even better percentage. It's just like, if we start hitting $2,000 for an annual pass, I just can't justify that. You know what I mean? I don't know, you guys. It's getting crazy. Tips for Disneyland Paris. When do fast passes run out? I'm going in August. In terms of when you get there, because Disneyland Paris is paper fast passes. They don't have a pre-fast pass system. Though you can do a paid system, I don't think it's worth it. I have found that I was able to get fast passes almost all day. I never, even Space Mountain, I was able to go 5 o'clock and then get a fast pass for 5:30. So this is a whole other level than Disney World. It is not as intense. It's not even as intense as Disneyland. Don't overplan would be my tip for Disneyland Paris. It's not necessary. Know what you want to do, but don't go crazy planning with the fast passes and stuff, and don't run for the fast pass. It's a different vibe. Nobody's sort of rushing for those kinds of things. Yeah, take it at a whole easier pace, I think would be my advice. What are your thoughts on Disney's after-hour events? I love them. To be fair, I've only experienced one, but I had a blast. It was so much fun. It was the 30th anniversary one for Hollywood Studios. I rode so many things, got crazy photos of empty areas of Hollywood Studios. There's so many cool meet and greets with no lines. You get to do a lot. Plus free ice cream all night. That's awesome. So I think they're really neat. Yeah, I know, it's an extra paid thing, and there's an argument against a lot of that, I feel but it's worth the money if you want the experience of just walking onto everything. It's pretty wild. So if you can do it, treat yourself and go to an after hours event. What's the best monkey in the Disney parks? This is stemming from a TTA episode. I do love those Jungle Cruise monkeys. Other than that, what's the best monkey? Oh, I know, it's my girls. It's the sisters in Animal Kingdom. The ones that are like the most prominent when you're walking to when you're walking to Asia from Africa. Like they're always swinging, and they're the ones that sing, and you hear them like a bajillion miles away because they're really, really loud. They're sisters, I've learned this. And their warble, their like singing can be heard for like, I think something like 5 miles. So if you can catch them when they're doing that, it's really, really cool to watch. Love them. Those are my girls. I say that every time I walk over and I say, how are my girls? I look for my girls. So they're real living monkeys, but they're my faves. But then after that, Jungle Cruise monkeys for sure. What is the longest you've waited for a ride in line? 2.5 hours on Slinky Dog for me. Oof. I think 2 hours for Rock and Roller Coaster, and this was not long after it first opened, and I was in line with my brother, and the only reason we waited 2 hours, it was an hour wait or so, and then it went down. And we were already halfway through the line, so we thought, okay, we're gonna wait. Like, we're just gonna wait this out. So I think that was the longest I ever waited. I did wait for Flight of Passage, and even that I think only ended up being 90 minutes. I say only. That might be the second longest, I would say. I don't really like to wait long for things. I try not to. I try to plan so it doesn't happen. Have you ever gone to Tokyo Disneyland? If so, have you happened to come to their Can't talk. If so, have you happened to come to their electrical parade? I've not been to Tokyo Disneyland. I would love to. Definitely in the plans. Obviously very long flights, very expensive trips, so might be a little bit before I get over there, but I would love to do Tokyo Disney. I mean, I want to do all of them, really. What country that you haven't been to would you like to visit next? So I am a big international traveler. I've been to a lot of really great countries. My favorite so far still is Morocco. Wonderful country. Peter and I have been thinking about like Switzerland and Norway and like that whole shebang. And I also really want to go to Budapest and Croatia. So they're kind of close to each other. So when we do these sorts of trips, we like to pick like 2 countries that are close that we can like hop to. Just to kind of knock more things off our bucket list. So either a Croatia Budapest trip or, yeah, let's go to Switzerland. Why not? Are you a DC fan in any way? Have you watched any of the Arrowverse shows? I love Batman. Like, that's really, I don't know if saying I'm a DC fan is right. I am a Batman fan, through and through. And more than any Marvel character. I just love Batman. I grew up with the animated series. I grew up reading the comic books. I grew up with the Tim Burton films. I just love his character. I love his villains. I think he's some of the best superhero villains or comic book villains, period. And I'm not just talking about the Joker. He's great. Joker's great, classic, you know, quintessential, but there's so many more that are like really interesting. Mad Hatter, Penguin, Riddler. I love the Riddler. He fascinates me. I love the video games. Like I just love Batman stuff. I do not like Superman. I'm not gonna lie. And the other ones, I'm kind of, you know, I can take or leave. So I haven't watched the shows. That was my long answer for that. I haven't watched the shows. Well, I did watch Gotham, but I don't know if that counts, right? Because that was like that was like Fox. That was like its own thing. So yes, I'm a Batman fan more than I would say I'm a DC fan. What did you think of Paris outside of Disneyland Paris? I loved it. I loved it. So I was a little skeptical going in because I've heard lots of things, right? Some people say like, oh, Paris is overrated and you go and it's this and it's that and people are rude and it's... Look, I've learned that Paris gets the same rep that New York gets. We're not rude in New York, we're just busy. And, you know, New York's an old city, so it's kind of dirty. Paris is an even older city, so it's kind of dirty. I don't care, that doesn't bother me. Like, I don't need, like, the most immaculate place in the universe. I get it, there's people living there. That's how it is. I never encountered a single rude person in Paris, not a single one. So maybe we lucked out, but everyone was super lovely. Paris reminds me of New York in that it is a lot of different people who live there. So there's a lot of like expats from UK who now just like live in Paris proper. We met a bunch of people from Peru who actually lived there. You know, it's really interesting melting pot of people there. The food is amazing, absolutely amazing. I loved it. I thought it was really great. Like, I would like to definitely go back, and maybe not just Paris proper, but I want to experience more of France in general. Do you have a specific fast pass strategy as far as time of day? Do you prefer trying to book fast passes early in the day? Do you do meet and greets on each trip? Oh my gosh, there's so many questions. Have you ever tried a fireworks or any other dessert party? Are there any quiet hidden spots in World Showcase? I'm going through all of them right now. You recommend for a little rest? I vaguely remember you mentioning once that back of the UK Pavilion had a nice quiet area to relax. Thanks. Okay, let's go line by line. Do I have a fast pass strategy as far as time of day? It all depends on my plans. So I prefer to do them early in the morning so I can knock them out and then keep getting for the rest of the day. But even that's only a so-so strategy because in most cases your big rides are going to be gone by like 2 or 3 p.m. anyway. So I just think plan it around what makes sense for your day. On the flip side, if there's a ride I really want, let's say it's Flight of Passage, fingers crossed, I get a fast pass, it pops up, the fast pass is 5 p.m., then I'm gonna probably plan around the Flight of Passage fast pass because I care more about getting on that ride than I do about everything being in the morning. Does that make sense? Do you do meet and greets on each trip? Not on each trip, but I do it on some trips. I do it more on my solo trips. I find that a lot of people I go with don't necessarily like doing meet and greets, so I go solo and I enjoy that a lot. It's not weird, I swear. It's actually more fun, I think, because like you're really trying to think of something to say and have a bit of a back and forth and all of that kind of stuff. So, have you ever tried a fireworks or any other dessert party? I have not. I've been considering booking one for April, literally to have that experience, to do a review for you guys. I've heard such mixed things about it. I would probably do a happily ever after one because I adore those fireworks. We'll see if I do it or not, but I have not done one yet. And then the quiet hidden spots. Yeah, behind the UK is great. Sometimes there's bands that play back there. It's really cool, and most people don't even realize it. Like, they'll wander over when they hear the music. Back of Morocco, super quiet, beautiful. Little fountain back there, you can chill. You'll have some people walking by, but it's very quiet. We know you are quite obsessed with Disney, of course, with your channel. What other things are you obsessed with? Like, what would I consider myself obsessed with? Video games. I adore video games. Like, I can't even tell you, I follow the releases. I love getting games like right when they come out. I'm super into following developers and what's going on and just the industry. I religiously watch E3 every year. I religiously watch the Video Game Awards every year. It's an exciting time for me. I tell Peter that E3 is my Christmas. Well, they're both my Christmas because you get new trailers for new games. I love video games. That passion has not died. I started playing them when I was 4 years old. I'm gonna be 80 playing video games. I love them. I love them. Like, we have a PSVR. I'm totally gonna pre-order a PS5. At my Switch, I'm love them. Like, I feel like if I didn't have a Disney Channel, I mean, this actually started as a video game channel. Believe it or not, if you go way, 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 way back in my videos, you'll see video game videos because that's how I started it. But I almost feel like if I wasn't doing Disney, I would do more talking points about video games. I love how wonderful their stories are, their music. Ugh, I can go on for days about it. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is my other obsession, and everything Whedonverse meaning Firefly, Angel, Dollhouse, just things that he's been involved in, TV shows that he's created. Buffy is still, to me, the greatest show that's ever existed. I watch it all the way through every year. Horror movies, love horror movies. Like, I've watched some messed up movies, guys. I know maybe that's why I like Disney. I feel like it's a balance. It's a balance of like really, really messed up movies and then like Hunchback. Well, Hunchback's kind of messed up. Okay, maybe this is actually making a lot of sense. Love them though. I love the campy ones. I love the crazy ones. I love everything in between, the weird psychological ones. I'm so into horror movies. Definitely a big, big thing for me. So I think I would say that those are probably 3 things that I'm like super, super obsessed with. Man, I get like, I don't know if you can tell, I just get very excited talking about those things. Anyway, those are all the questions that you guys had for me. Amazing. You guys are amazing. So I hope that gave you a little more insight into me and my thoughts on Disney too, because of course, you guys always ask me Disney questions, which I appreciate. I love talking about that. Again, if you want to ask me a question for next time, I'm gonna make a new survey. I'm gonna just keep it open. It'll be in the description below. And if we get another like 10, 15 questions, I'll make another video. Promise. These are really fun to do. If you like this video, then like it. If you like me, you should subscribe and make videos every single week. I really appreciate everyone who participated, and thank you for listening to me ramble about my life for a little bit. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, have a great rest of the day.